understand
But
your
Ismael,
struggle.
there's only one way to say Ismael.
You would think. I've
Right?
heard Ismael, Ismail, Ismael, Ismael, Ishmael. I don't know where they pull the H out of because it's not there.
Ish for short.
Ish. So I just go. That's why I'm like, you know what? At
And
45.
what is DJ short for?
Daddy and Jesus.
Okay. DJ. We'll go with that. Daryeng Jesus. Daryeng. That's not even like.
So,
what are your parents' sisters or something
no,
like that?
So funny story.
So not
I
his
went to school up in Michigan, and my professor was like, "Do you know there's a city in Connecticut called Darien?"
I worked in Connecticut 2 years.
So you know.
Yes.
So while all the years I was in school, my colleagues would call me Darien, Connecticut. And actually, my parents named, my parents are Cuban, so they named me after El Golfo de Darien in Panama, which I don't know why, because they're Cuban, but why they named me after Panamanian
Gulf.
Gulf and swamp, but here we are.
DJ for sure. It works.
So are we live? Are we recording? All right.
Okay, we're
so
there.
we are. So we always start with a cold open that doesn't really have anything to do with it. But you know what? Today, guys, we are so thrilled and honored, and it's been a while in the making because we've been trying to coordinate this for a minute. We are here with South Florida's own, I'm going to use the word icon because you are, and I don't, I don't use that word I don't throw that word around.
Old.
No, por favor. We're here with WSVN's own Belkys Nerey. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome to Pero Let Me Tell You.
You guys are so sweet. What a great intro. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we've been wanting to have you. Well, we've been harassing you for a few years.
We have. The last time we ran into you was at the Heritage Fire 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Where we were, that was not a prompt, I promise.
You guys were like giving out chicken, and you told me about the podcast, and I had the chicken, and you brought me chicken today. Because I'm on my dinner break, and I was like, if I'm coming here, you need to feed me. So
listen, we take care of our guests.
So
all right?
that you're eating just won a grand tasting at the South Beach Food and Wine Festival.
Yelp's Best Bite.
Yelp's Best Bite on the beach.
I saw that on your Instagram. Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's why I was like, bring me that. I want to see what that was about.
So that is our
award-winning,
double
award-winning,
because it also won at Heritage Fire in 2024 at the Biltmore.
That's really good.
Thank you.
That is our white Alabama barbecue sauce, but since we're in Miami, we're not going to call it that. We call it the Santero.
Even better.
So,
wow.
But if there's anybody who knows food,
am I supposed to talk? Because I can't put this down.
No, we can keep going as you. Well,
You guys
actually,
talk, just
you know what?
I'm gonna
We
eat
don't
this
have
one
Van.
little
You know what?
drumstick, and then you guys talk. Keep telling me how great I am.
Well, I mean, that's coming.
As she's eating our chicken, our award-winning chicken.
Right.
You know what? Obviously, we're going to get to the news.
Right.
But you know what?
Let's go reverse, right?
You,
Yeah.
you know what, though?
I gotta put it down.
In this day and age of like all these food influencers and content on Instagram about food and all these different channels that are food related, you're sort of the OG on that, because A Bite with Belkys has been going on. I don't want to say like
25 years.
25,
Are you serious? 25
The
years?
first one was in 2000.
20, yeah, 2000 was
I pull a
25
compact out of. I gotta check my face real quick.
Because that's what
now I
icons
got
do.
Chicken.
That's what icons do. Is they know
Mariah
what
Carey does that on
Listen,
stage.
Mariah does it. Belkys does it.
No,
That's
the
it,
real
yeah.
icons have a team standing by, and they're like. But my team has COVID.
No.
They're not here today.
You're hands on. That's why.
So,
That's it.
so
We'll
25
go with
years ago, I think the only thing we had was like the Food Network or public television. What made you 25 years ago think, maybe I should be going to restaurants and talking about this?
That's what it was. The Food Network was out, and I was just obsessed with the Food Network. And that's when all they did was cooking.
Yeah.
They had Rachel Ray, they had Emerald, they had Martha Stewart. They had people just cooking. There were no games. There was none of that. It was 1999 into 2000. It was that Miami Beach heyday. It was just starting to get really cool. There were a couple of cool places, a couple of really good restaurants, China Grill, Tuscan Steak, Joya, the Strand, all of these. Miami was starting. Miami Beach was beginning its ascendance. Exactly. So I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I went and just, talked to these chefs and went to their kitchens and we cooked together and made stuff together. And that's how it started. And I used to go to the restaurants personally and cook with the chef. Now, it's evolved. I still do the segment, I can't even go. The producer goes and I voice it over. But I get the pitch. I ask for the recipe. I look over the recipes because, some chefs really want to show off and they send a recipe that's got like, octopus with a foie gras foam and it's like, okay, that sounds amazing, but nobody's going to make that at home. Right, yeah. So let's make it a little more viewer friendly. What do you got that people can make at home? And they submit the recipes. I look them over, pick one, and then we set it up and do it that way. And I find that there's two kinds of people that love that segment. The people that actually make the recipe at home and the people that see the restaurant, see the segment, because we always shoot the inside of the restaurant and it's cool, see the vibe and they see the dish and they're like, oh, I want to go there. So it's a win-win for everybody, because even if you're not going to cook it at home, you'll still go to the restaurant. And I also love doing new and hip and hot spot and the vibe place of the moment. But we also like to do mom and pops. Right. At the Kendall Strip Mall, in Hialeah, in Little River, in Little Haiti, gems. And, like everything. So we try to do everybody.
Which is so important, especially now, because I feel that Miami is, evolving into something else.
So much.
And there's so many high concept restaurants that are coming from other places, which sure we like, we enjoy, but they don't have that essence of Miami. So featuring those mom and pops, as you say, at a strip mall, because that's where people that are from Miami go.
And all these high concept restaurants too everybody wants to be there now between October and April, May. But what's going to happen July, August when all the people we're talking about go off to their other second homes or, it's like we are the people that still support these local restaurants and they need, funding year round, not just peak seasons. Yeah. So it's a hard game. I mean, talk to any chef. And I always say when somebody's like, oh, happy, we had 1 year anniversary in our restaurant, we're celebrating. I'm like, it's like dog years. It's like times 7. Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. Not kidding, not kidding. Cause it's a grind.
We do pop-ups and we have a taste of that grind.
You guys know.
Yeah.
So what's up with the chicken?
Frying chicken in a parking lot in Miami in July is no small feat. Okay.
So I started making these chicken wings, and everybody would tell me they were like the best chicken wings I ever had, and we through the podcast actually we became very inspired by Danny and Rose are from Sandwich.
Oh yeah.
Both professionals in completely different fields, and they sort of reach their late 30s, 40s, and they're like, to hell with this. Like, we want to do something else. With Alec and Vicky from Do Croquetas, Andrew from Night Owl, because these were people that they weren't trained chefs. They didn't go to like Cordon Bleu. They didn't really have.
Andrew dropped out of college.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They didn't really
burn down his parents' kitchen twice.
Yeah.
They didn't have a background in hospitality. I think Vicky's
a caterer.
She was a caterer, so she had some. But and they created these sort of like not only success stories, but things that are very Miami.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we have nothing to lose. It's not like we're quitting our day jobs, and it's gone very well. So
I want to stop the podcast so I can keep eating the chicken.
Listen, don't let us stop you. We can.
I'll have it at the end. I'm not gonna be like, but
really, I'm happy we started with this, because I really do think that A Bite with Belkys was ahead of its time. Yeah. I mean, you didn't know it at the time, but it really was.
Now every local channel has a food person.
Yeah.
Lisa does Channel 4. On the Spanish channel is Mariana is her name. Super nice. I know them all. Kiko used to be on doing it too. Like, everybody's got their food person now. But it evolved also. It started with me and the chefs cooking with them in their kitchens. And now it's evolved where I'm doing the cooking. And I'm doing Bite with Belkys.
Like little, I love seeing on socials you in the kitchen.
Yeah, that started like, I think it was pre-COVID. And when everything on the internet was like a kitchen hack, a hack. Everybody had a hack. Everybody loved that word, a hack. And you'd see it on your feed and how to make a shortcut and this and that. And I just kind of started doing them myself. And then they're The Bite with the restaurant runs Wednesday, Thursdays. The Bite with Belkys runs Sunday, Monday. And now it's like I cook too, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, you're such a great cook! Oh my God, Chef Belkys!" It's like a no, not even remotely close. I like it, I enjoy it, but what I like is to look at a recipe and oh, you need tomatoes, you need a green pepper. We're gonna roast them first in the oven, then we're gonna chop them and take out the seeds, and we're gonna take a jalapeno. I'm like, that's a jar of salsa.
Right.
Why can't I just use a jar of salsa? I'm not running a restaurant.
We're making artisanal.
Exactly.
Salsa.
She's like, I have a
I'm
manicure.
in my
No,
kitchen.
like,
Yes.
no.
Yeah. I just got my nails done. So I kind of like to. I want to make it easy. Like nobody has that kind of time, Like let's get home. It's not. I'd be intimidated by cooking, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. You take the shortcut. And I'm always like, how bad can it be? Right. How bad can it be? I'm not trying to make you the spaghetti that you're gonna get at Carbone. That's not gonna happen. It's not gonna. Although you can buy the sauce and make it at home exactly the same. Riquísimo, igualito.
And
I actually added some protein to mine. I added like a ground turkey picadillo and did it that way. But I'm just trying to make it simple for people that are just trying to get home, cook dinner, try to eat remotely healthy, make something that their kids are gonna like, get in, get out. So I just try to take a recipe that I see on the internet and try to make it and show you how to do it and let you know. Like that's why I said the tagline, if I can do it, you can do it. Like I'm not that much better than you. I'm really not, And that's the other thing too. I see all these things on Instagram. Ba, 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 whoa. And I'm like,
the slap recipes.
So I try those too, and it's like, no, that is a lie. Don't do it. I kept seeing this egg carton sushi thing that you take an egg carton and you put like sushi, like a piece of salmon, the rice, the this, the that, in the little bolita of the egg carton, and then you put it, plastic wrap over it, and you put it in the fridge, and it sets, and you flip it over, and it's like, ooh, these cute little sushi balls. Fail, lie, Instagram, fail.
I think that's a spin-off right there.
I saw it over and over and over again. I tried it and I put it on my Instagram feed. I was like, do not do this. The other thing was the tower, the charcuterie tower in the cone during Christmas. Everybody was doing these beautiful charcuterie towers that it's a styrofoam cone.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you put the thing, the ham, the cheese, you put it through and then you poke it into the styrofoam cone. And at the end, it's a beautiful, colorful thing of charcuterie on sticks. It's perfectly... Can I say bullshit on this podcast?
You can say whatever you want on this podcast.
It was BS. It took like 2.5 hours. Your fingers are poked. It's like, and then when you put it out, it looks lovely. But then to pull it off for your guests, you got to hold the cone or the whole thing falls over. I was so angry at it. That's another one that I put on there, and the reactions are like, "Oh my God, thank you for being honest. I was going to try that." I'm like, "Don't."
I think this is a spin-off series.
I'm going to do it more. I am going to try to do it more.
Wednesdays and Thursdays is at the restaurant. Sundays and Mondays you cook, and then Tuesdays and Fridays is like esto no sirve.
And then when am I going to do the news? When am I going to see my husband?
Fair. All right, fine.
When am I going to visit my mother?
So, ladies and gentlemen, what we learned from this conversation is that Belkys Nerey is the OG original food influencer.
No, seriously, 25 years ago she was doing it, and you were doing the kitchen thing like right before COVID hit.
Right?
Like, yeah, seriously, you don't know you have a fortune-telling machine somewhere apparently.
I guess.
Yeah,
Who knew? But I'm going to try and do that more.
Yeah.
What I'll tell you, you're going to get honesty. If I try it and it's not like Instagram shows you over and over and over again, I'm going to tell you, don't waste your time. This is some BS.
But yeah, you're absolutely right, because I do love to cook, and I have an ability to cook, I guess. And I've done some online recipes, and some are fantastic, and then others I'm like, no, this is, as you said, BS. I'm like, no.
Or they come out great, but oh my God.
Or not as easy as they present.
It's not worth the time.
Yeah.
So labor intensive that you're like, yeah, that was great.
Mira, I did a pastina a couple of weeks ago and it came out like mashed potatoes. I'm like the pastina to liquid ratio, broth ratio is off
¿Qué
here.
pasó? ¿Qué pasó?
I don't know.
But it was probably a very delicious mashed potato.
So, pivoting to the news.
Pivoting to
the
bread and butter.
You have been
No pun intended.
the face of WSVN 7 News, which, I mean, listen, we love all the local news channels, but Channel 7 is Miami.
We still recall the premiere of the Newsplex.
Yes.
Like
wow.
that's where, we are
the
OG.
2-floor Newsplex.
Yes,
You've been the anchor now for what, 20 years?
30 years?
I've been there 30.
30 anniversaries.
What year is this?
25.
2025. I started in 94.
Yeah.
So is that going to be
31 years.
31 this year, right? I started as a reporter, general assignment news reporting. And then I went to do Deco Drive as the anchor with Lynn for I feel like it was 6 years, I think. Best time I ever had.
You all look like
in
you
my
look
life.
like you guys were enjoying
I
every
still can't
second
believe
of
they
it.
paid me for that.
We
They
could
paid
tell.
us for
We
that
could
because
tell.
it was a blast. And then they asked me to go to the big kids table. And I went to the main anchor desk in 2003. So I've been with Craig 20 years. Is that more than 20? 20. We're on 22.
Yeah, that's
So actually, we are South Florida's longest serving news anchor team.
You and
Craig
Craig.
Stevens and I.
That's
We've been
remarkable.
TV married longer than anyone else.
That's quite remarkable.
Longer than Rick and Sally, longer than Jackie and Tony, longer than Ann and Dwight. And
hearing all these names is so like
we know
funny.
these
It's
names because we grew
comfort
up with
food.
all these people.
So I was a really weird kid. From the time I was
You're a weird adult too.
7, 8 years
Those
old,
are so
I
short.
loved watching the news, and I would watch Channel 7. And I was from the Sally Fitz, Steve Dawson era. Like I remember them, and then obviously
DJ, you're old.
I was gonna say,
stop, Belkys.
Are you sure we went to school together? Because I don't remember that.
But
part.
I was that little kid that loved watching. I mean, what little kid loves watching the news?
Well, yes,
right?
I remember you even sent Sally. You told me you sent Sally Fitz a get well card.
I did
when she had
she
the
was
mugging.
mugged. She was mugged.
She had the mugging.
Yeah. And then I remember obviously her with Rick Sanchez, but
that was Newsplex.
Yes.
Legend.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
That was the unveiling of
Towering
the
Inferno,
Newsplex.
Kelly Mitchell.
All the bells
yeah.
and whistles that really everyone from that moment on, every local newscast in America
It kind of redefined local
copied
news.
it. Yes.
It did.
It really did.
But as you said, thinking about it today, when I was coming here, that we knew we were going to chat with you, I'm like, Belkys has been the anchor now longer than all these other people that are really iconic as well.
Craig and I together.
Yeah,
he was there first.
Hence,
There's something comforting about seeing you guys.
The title
at 10,
iconic.
You know. Yeah, the icon. See, both of you are icons. You can tell Craig.
It's very sweet.
You share the title.
Yeah. How has that been? Because I mean, obviously it's you got that job and it turned into what it is today. But that distinction to be so long doing this and be the face of Channel 7.
That's a good question. I don't really think about it in any kind of way. I get to work, I do my job, I try to make everyone in the newsroom as happy as I can. I bring sweets and treats and, just kind of get in, get out, deliver the news to the people. And I try not to obsess too much over it because it's not happy, good news.
And you're doing 3 hours straight.
We do, Craig and I do, we're on the air. We do more news than any other news, local in the market. I think we do 11 hours of news a day. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure what. I'm not even sure what time the morning girls start because I sleep through it and they keep adding. It started at 6, at 5. It may start at 4 a.m. for all I know. I'm not really sure.
They never leave, actually.
Exactly.
Because nobody told you this.
Exactly.
They live there.
Right. So it starts with 5 hours in the morning, and and then they do noon for an hour, and then we come on 4 to 7, and then 10 to 11:30, and then Craig and I do 5 to 5:30, 6 to 6:30. And 10 to 11:30. And those are our shows, but between that 4 and 7 p.m., it's like we're in it in another capacity. We're either fronting something of a story, another story that we did during the 4 o'clock, or there's breaking news, a truck rolled over on the Palmetto. Hey, Belkys, we need you in the Newsplex. Truck rolled over on the Palmetto. We got to get it on TV. Ralph is over the scene in Skyforce, and bloop, get on, tell people what's up, avoid the area, whatever might be breaking in that moment. We're even though it's not our show that we anchor, we're still involved in the afternoon shows.
You know, it's so crazy that in talking to you about this, so many times when we think about our life, like, they always say that music is the soundtrack of your life. When you think of a song, it takes you back to a certain time and place. But really, that's also the case with anchors, because like, I think of high school, I think of like Jessica Aguirre and Kelly Mitchell. I think of Carmel Cafero.
Yes. It was Marilyn Mitchell.
Wow.
We're old.
When I think of certain times,
I feel like I need security. I think these guys are stalkers,
you know why?
not podcasters.
To me,
Can I get my phone, please?
In all fairness, it's also because we were friends with Ozzy, who was there. So, it was a little.
But you know what? Though, to me, and you and Craig still feel new, even.
You're the new kids. Yeah, you've been doing it for 20 years and you're still the new kids.
Even though, wait, if I started in 22 years, we've been there together.
That is insane.
That is insane.
To hear it said in that term.
And it's funny because now I see people on the street and they come up to me and they say hi, and all these, kids that are in college or whatever, and they're like, oh my God, I've been watching you since I was like 5 years old. My mom always oh my God, let me get a picture of you. I want to show it to my mom. And I'm kind of like, oh, am I old? What's happening? You used to want my picture, now you want it for your mom. No.
And then they ask you if you've done a slap recipe, and it's
Channel 7,
but
man.
It's still very touching to hear people say that they feel like they know you. They feel like they know you because they watch you day in and day out for so many years, and that's lovely.
I will say, I think, especially in the world now of where journalism is in a very odd place, I think there is still just an inherent trust with your local anchors that you may not get at the national or the cable.
Mm-hmm. They feel familiar.
Right.
Yeah.
There's something about if I get the news from you and Craig, it's like, oh, it's you and Craig. If I see, Louis Aguirre, it's Louis Aguirre. If I see Jackie Nespros, it's not the news. It's hearing it from people that we feel we know.
Yeah.
And there's a certain inherent just, I believe you. I trust you. I know that you're
well, that's
there
good
for
to
us,
know because we do our best to deliver it in objectively every day and give two sides and tell you what you need to know, whether it be at the local level or the national level.
But that's the beauty of local news.
Yeah.
There's not 75 talking heads.
And they're exactly all trying to get in a word. Yeah, that's true. And there's always going to be information that you're going to get from local news that you're not going to get from your cable networks.
Right. And also local news is still sort of like last man standing, because we feel that we love listening to the radio, and radio now has become there's not local radio, or not like there used to be. And, we love the Morning Zoo. We love Elvis Duran, but I mean,
remember Footy?
Yes,
but
that's an example.
Footy,
that's
Kenny
an
Walker,
example of
DJ Laz,
Lucy Lopez.
Jade.
Those are iconic names in Miami radio, and I feel that curated experience in radio has sort of dissipated, but yet in news, thankfully, we still have it.
Yeah, and it's also changing and evolving, and we're all just trying to keep up with it.
So how would you say, as a journalist who's been doing this for a while, the $10 million question, how has your job, your role as a journalist changed, and how has it been challenged with not only the political landscape we're in now, but just by the internet and social media itself, just changing everything? Constantly
battling misinformation. Yeah. People see something on their Instagram story or their Facebook or their X or whatever it is that they're looking at, and right away are like, oh, did you hear that whatever happened with whoever? I'm like, that is not true. That is a lie. Well, how do you know? I'm like, Google it. Just because so-and-so posted it, and then so-and-so reposted it, and fulanito reposted it after that, and Benganito reposted it after that, does not mean that it's true. What you have to consider the source. And people are just constantly saying things as fact when they're not fact. They're not vetted. No one checked the source. Nobody, they just take it for granted that if it's on the phone, it's factual. And 70-80% of the time, it is not. It's just some kind of a rumor that got reposted.
AI is not going to make that any better.
No, exactly. Exactly. And people are just, I don't know if they're lazy or just want to believe what they want to believe, or everybody's already in the lane that they want to be in, and they're going to stay in that lane no matter what. So it's a very delicate place that we're in, that, we strive to be objective.
Right.
And
And I just think that as a trained journalist, it just goes against the pillars of what journalism is.
100%.
Who, what, when, where, vetting stories,
when, where.
All that.
Two sides.
Yes.
Your side, the other person's side. You decide who you like better.
Yeah.
But you get both sets of information, and then you decide for yourself, well, is this controversial or not? Do I want to vote for this person or not? And is this,
So who do I believe?
Right.
But now it's gotten to a point that, obviously politics has always been messy, but now it's gotten to the point that just for everyday things like everyday news stories, mundane news stories, people are just at each other's throats like, oh, it's this type of person, it's that type of person. It's like, couldn't we just, agree a few years ago that this is just something crappy that happened and move on with it?
Sometimes people just suck. It doesn't matter.
That's it. And we can't, let's not make assumptions right away either.
Right.
The 4 agreements. Don't make assumptions. Be true to your word.
Yeah.
Do your best. And what's the 4th one? I forget the 4th one. I forgot. And I always try to tell myself, don't make assumptions.
Right.
Don't
That's
make
the best one.
assumptions. Just don't make it. People right away assume. It just our Channel 7 is a Fox affiliate.
Right.
But we're owned by a family, the Anson family. We're not owned by the Fox network. We're not owned, people outside of here. Oh, you work for Fox. Fox.
Right.
Or, yay, you work for Fox. And it's like, yeah, no, it's not. Or yay.
But not to mention
We're
that Fox
local
Entertainment
news.
is separate
We
from
have
Fox News Corp anyway.
Unaffiliated with any of it. And we are objective local news people. And that's our number one goal.
Which, let me tell you, totally apropos of nothing, the weirdest moment of my life was when I was in Boston. And I was watching their SVN equivalent.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was like,
have you seen it? It's exactly the same. It's
It
the
is.
same logo.
It's like, why is the Newsplex in Boston?
Yes.
I was like, it was very weird.
WHDH.
It was
Yeah.
very weird.
Are they using the same set?
Yeah, I was like,
Same
wait,
exact
they were-
graphics, everything.
Yeah, it was very weird. It was
It's the
just
same voiceover.
the same voiceover announcement and everything. Yeah, so I was that was threw me off.
Towering Inferno.
Just had to say it. Just had to put that out there. It's very weird.
You're
I
like,
don't-
am
yeah.
I in Miami?
Yeah, I was like, but why don't I recognize any of the faces? Like,
Yeah.
it's
You're like,
it's
am I
Mirror
in an
Universe.
episode of Lost?
Yeah, exactly.
I went back in time and now I'm in the future, but now I'm back and now I'm in the future.
And everyone's white.
There's no Latinos anywhere.
What as in, OG Miamian and news person who's seen it all. What is your take now on sort of the changes that Miami's going through so quickly?
Gosh, that is a really good question. It feels like it just happened. Like just COVID changed everything.
But especially here.
Well, especially here. If you go to Asheville, North Carolina, people say especially there also. It's like when it's your town and you know what you grew up with and you knew what you had, and now all these changes are coming up around you, and the little building that used to have the dry cleaner and la cafeteria and the shoe repair place is now gone, and they're building a 20-story condo that you just drove past 2 weeks ago and they were all still there, and already three stories are built. You're like, whoa, like everything is changing so fast. You know, I don't know what to tell you. It's sort of like nobody likes change, right? But we all have to embrace it, try to work with it, try to work together, try to work with each other, try to be patient in traffic, try to let people merge.
¿Qué remedio nos queda?
Try not to be a-holes. You know who you are. That is the worst. We are the worst in traffic. And I'm telling you right now, it's us Latinos. I am telling you, it's us. It's a Latin thing. We have no tolerance for traffic. We're like, no, yo primero.
You know, it's funny.
I go to Asheville, North Carolina a lot. My husband and I got a little place there.
It's really nice
outside
there.
of Asheville because he loves nature and trees and makes me go camping. And you know,
Americano.
gringo from Chicago,
See, don't make
Illinois.
assumptions.
No, but he was right about that one.
We've discussed that. You know,
He's
Latin people and Cubans don't like camping.
American and half Greek, so he's tiene chipa griega. But you know, like you see 3 lanes of a highway, right? And the 3rd lane is empty, and it's like, why is that lane empty? And then you realize it's because there's a merge, and people are merging way back here, not going all the way up to the front of the sign to be the first ones in. It was like, is this how people are supposed to do it? Wow, mind blown. This is how people do. You're gonna turn and people let you cross the street. There's a turn signal on. It's like, mira esto es un fenómeno.
But the traffic here is...
This is how people are supposed to drive.
But the traffic here is a different kind of evil.
I also think it's because, you know, you got Cubans that drove in Cuba one way. You got Haitians that drove in Haiti another way. You got Venezuelans that drove in Venezuela another way. You got Dominicans que así manejamos en Dominica. You know, everybody brings their own driving flavor to the street, and it's like, hello.
Driving flavor.
Yeah.
Is that going to be our next wing?
I mean,
driving flavor.
It's got to be really spicy and hot if that's going to be your wing.
Impatient.
With a bang.
Everybody, I was in Haiti. I went to Haiti to cover, I can't even remember, but I literally saw a traffic accident. You know, the car was banged up. It's like, there was no police. There was nothing. There was like, oh, okay, you'll be fine. Like, here's a bottle of water and we're even. Don't worry about it. Go see my cousin, ahí in City Soleil.
That's what happens here.
And it's like, and you're good. Like, and people all bring their own, what they know to the community. And it's like, that's not the way it works here anymore. We don't have to abide under the same rules.
Here, when you have an accident and you're like, I'm going to call the cops and file a claim with my insurance company. They're like, no. Yo conozco a alguien. It's like,
what's
okay.
insurance?
Okay. Well, that's a whole conversation for a whole other day. No, it's funny that you say
I guess
that.
to answer, I mean, we've got to embrace the change. I mean, with the genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah.
We're not putting it back. I feel like the only thing that city leaders should be thinking about is seriously better public transportation, better roads, expanding lanes, the infrastructure, because we've never been a public transportation city.
No.
Ever.
They've tried.
But they haven't tried hard enough. You know why? Because Miamians, we don't embrace it.
No, yeah.
Everybody wants their own car. Everybody wants to get from point A to point B when they want to. They don't want to, we're not New Yorkers. We don't do trains and none of that business. We don't do it. Mind you, when you go to New York, like, hey, we're going to Subway.
Yeah. It's a novelty.
Because we can.
Right.
She's so right. The first time you go to New York, you take a picture of the subway station.
Right? Please. But if you don't have to, we don't take public transportation. But we've got to work on it. But now there's Uber and rideshare, Lyft. You got the rideshare programs. But even that creates more drama and traffic because the ride Lyft, the shared ride guys, girls, whatever, park in the middle of the road. Don't put, if you're here and there's an empty spot here, why you want to stop in the middle of Brickell or 8th Street or Harding Avenue or Collins Avenue? Can you just pull up a little and move over to the side and let the person get in there? Like, use your head.
That's also Amazon drivers.
Oh, they're the worst.
Se cogen la calle completa.
I feel like Amazon drivers, like, they're in big trucks.
Yeah.
They should get a pass.
I don't know.
Where are you going to
no.
put it?
Well, that's not my problem. Because, like, you know what? Because I live in the Gables, and there's times like those little streets, you know what? Like, I have to, that we all sit there and we have to wait, and
It
pasa
is
uno,
hard.
pasa otro. Pero you know what? No pasa uno, pasa otro. Because you know how it is. Everybody just goes.
Yeah.
You're stuck there for
I mean,
20
look,
minutes.
I give them a little bit of grace because they're already under pressure already
I
to
give them a
develop
little
all
bit
the
of grace too.
all the packages.
And perhaps
Fine.
if all y'all weren't buying a bunch of junk you didn't need,
This is
they
also
wouldn't
true.
be everywhere.
This
Okay.
is also true. You know what? We've created our own monster.
Exactly.
Right now.
Exactly.
Right now.
But we really do. We have to work on our infrastructure and our public transportation a little bit more to be able to accommodate this influx of new people that are coming into our communities. You know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's concerning because look, Miami's always been a city of change, and it's evolved from being a snowbird paradise in the 20s to then after the 50s being a haven for immigrants. But I feel that in the past, people have come in to work hard, contribute to the fabric of the city. That's really what immigration did. Immigration built the city. But now when it's like foreign monies and like big companies and developers, it's a bit of a different feeling.
It is.
It's
And the only thing we can hope is that some of these big companies give jobs to our local people.
Let's hope.
You know, let's hope. And they're not bringing in all their Californians and New Yorkers and Chicagoans and Texans and, you know, whoever it is that they're bringing their employees with. Let's hope that these companies create a good job base for people who live here and have grown up here and are getting out of college and want a foot in the door. Let's hope.
Because I think as people that, we were raised here, we know that it's a city that's always evolving. But I feel the change now is at the detriment of us locals to a large extent, from an unaffordability to just everything that's happened. Pero bueno, that's a whole, spiel.
It can happen. You know what's funny? We were in Asheville and we went to Whole Foods to get some groceries or whatever. And there's this lady at the butcher and she's carrying on and on and on about all these people from Florida that have moved here after COVID and blah, blah, blah. And she's carrying on and on and on and on. And there's like, my husband's there, another guy, and the lady, and she's carrying on and on and on and on. And then when she finishes, she turns over and asks my husband, where are you from? He's like, Florida. So it's interesting because we are on one side of the equation here in Miami because we're locals. And then when we visit North Carolina, we're on the other side of the equation.
What made us
so
pick
we're very
North Carolina?
cognizant of trying to like really be a part of the community. And we really try when we're there to learn and be and not just run in and run out.
Yeah. I've always wondered that Latinos and Cubans from Miami, like all fled to North Carolina. What was it? Like, did they just go, North Carolina, let's go.
Yeah.
Not too far.
It's not that far. Well, for us, for my husband and I, it was COVID. He's got a daughter in Chicago. So my stepdaughter lives in Chicago. We're in Miami. We were going to drive somewhere. And like, what was halfway that we could drive? And I said to him, I remember in 2008 when we went through that big real estate bust that everybody was underwater and it was just a disaster. Mm-hmm. I remember a lot of people just upped and moved to the Asheville area from here. And I said, why don't we go and why don't we try it? It was 10 hours from Chicago, 11 hours from Miami. We're like, let's do it. We got an Airbnb house. We met in the middle and it was fantastic. My husband grew up in Greece and in Illinois. So he loves the outdoors and camping and trees. I mean, he loves the beach as well, but he loves the seasons. He loves fall. He loves snow. He loves all the seasons. And he just fell in love with Asheville, as did I. And it's a great food town.
Yeah.
You know,
really is.
it's got culture, it's got great food, it's got great outdoors. And he fell in love with it. I liked it as well. And then we're like, well, should we get a place here? It's not too far. It was still not super expensive. And then the only way I agreed to it was if when we're not there, it gets Airbnb.
Okay, so it pays itself.
And it does.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. When we're not there, there's people there.
Also,
and
North Carolina, it's cold, but it's not frigid cold.
It's never, summer is okay.
See.
Fall is beautiful. And the winter, you get a fluke of a week. Like one year we went and there were like 15 inches of snow or something crazy that had never happened. But it was beautiful because, again, pa la foto, hey, look, we're in the snow.
And yet again, trendsetter Belkys. Hadn't happened in 15 years. She goes there.
Everything is pretty temperate, like none of the seasons are too extreme. And I think that's why people from here like it.
Does your husband cook?
Yes.
Because Mediterranean food and Greek food is like...
He's a better
the
cook
best.
than me, to be honest. He's a way better cook than me. But my husband is the guy that it'll call for Creole seasoning, for example, and we don't have a Creole seasoning. And I'll be like, hey, just get some paprika, a little comino, some chili powder. That sounds Creole. Eso mismo. Do a sprinkle of each and we're done. He will have to stop everything we're doing and Google how to make Creole seasoning and get each and every ingredient and measure it and do it and get it. And if we're missing one, forget it. Forget it. He's gotten way better because of me, because I'm more of a wing it, But thankfully, he's now like a little more chill on stopping because we don't have green onions. We only have white onions. And it's like, por favor, what is the difference? Oh, but it calls for a shallot. Use less onion. That's it. A shallot is just a milder onion. Slice the onion, run it under the water, and that takes away sort of that onion edge to it.
So as we wrap up, and again, going back to your legacy in journalism, because that is what it is at this point. It's a legacy in journalism.
Goodness.
Listen, when the book is written on...
Who's writing the book?
Well, when it's
Stephen
written,
King?
your name is going to be on there, and that's a very big deal.
very sweet.
It really is.
I guess we were talking about this earlier. I never see myself as that ever.
And
Like
20s.
I've never drank my own Kool-Aid.
But that kind of just goes back to what we were talking about earlier, which is why you're so freaking loved in this
I know,
community.
you're so sweet.
Because you're not una ingreída who walks around like, and there are those who have less time in the spotlight who feel they're, bigger than they are. And you're not that person. So that's why that's why you're here on this show, to be honest with
What
you.
I wanted
you wouldn't
to
invite you if
ask
you were
you-
full of yourself.
I rarely look like this out there. This is like dinner break face. Yeah, no.
What I wanted to ask you is because my cousin is a journalist, Roger Borges.
Yes, of course I
that's
know
my cousin.
Roger.
Primo hermano.
Yeah.
And these are conversations I have with him all the time. In your 30 years of doing this, what would you say are the 3 top stories or events that you covered that not necessarily were a big event, maybe they were, but just really changed you as a person and had an impact on you?
I don't know about change. I'll tell you this. We all complain about stuff all the time, all day long. There's always something. Traffic, esto, lo otro, I was late for whatever. It's human nature. We're always bitching about something. I will tell you this. Doing the news gives you this, for me personally, perspective and grounds you in a way that you kind of realize that we should all really strive not to sweat the small stuff, because we do a story that somebody left for work, they cut somebody off in traffic, and the other person shoots them and kills them for no reason. And all they did that day was leave the house to go to work. Or during the holidays that we do all the stories on the Santa Clauses that go to all the kids,
Like
wards at holds
shelters.
children at JMH to give all these little kids in the hospital trying to battle horrible diseases, give them presents. And, you're over here complaining that you went to wrap your gifts for your family and you ran out of tape. It really humbles you in a way that, for me personally, again, it forces me to remind myself that I have everything. I have everything. Right. I have a great job. I have great friends. My dad died last July, but I had him almost 90 years. My mom is still kicking it. I have a great family. I have a great husband. Like, I'm healthy. So that is what I'm reminded of. And that's the gift that local TV news gives me, because everybody always asks me, oh my God, the news is so depressing. How do you do the news every single day? And it's kind of like, yeah, it is, but we all should try to take something away from it, you know, to remind ourselves that it doesn't have to be that hard, you know. We all have what's important, because you never know when it might get taken away. Yes, or you have a young child or a cousin or a neighbor or that's sick with a terminal illness or something, you know. Those are the things that are life's real hardships. Everything else is just a little hurdle. Yeah. You'll get over it, you know. You'll get over it and you'll learn from it. And that's the point. When you get that challenge, get over it and learn from it. 100%. But honestly, one of the best stories, and nobody expects that I'm going to give this answer, but one of the best stories ever was that I did get to interview Cher. And it was like...
Icons with icons.
She was there, I was here, and it was like, she's amazing. She's exactly how you think Cher would be. That's how Cher is. And, you know, doing this job is... I've had a front seat to world-class events, life-changing moments on the global scale. You know, I was in London to cover when Princess Diana died. I was there for her funeral. I saw that casket go by with little Harry and William. And, you know, when Pope John Paul II passed away, I was there in the square.
Damn.
Super Bowls. I've been on the field when all the dancers come out and the halftime, and it's like, you know, World Series events, sport. It's you know, royal weddings. It's, you get a firsthand, you know, I've been in the back of police cars on chases and stuff and not under arrest. You know, just stuff that is like a movie scene that you're seeing on TV. I've been there and have had a front row.
You can write a book.
Those experiences are priceless.
Because I think that people love to hear those type of stories.
They're good stories,
especially framed in the way that you framed it. That it gives you perspective, and you've been from very big highs like the ones you just mentioned to lows of having to cover the passing of someone or a crime or all that. So you've really seen the whole spectrum through your career, through your job.
Yeah,
that's quite remarkable. Not everybody gets to experience that.
That's the best thing about journalism.
Yeah,
and now I just eat.
I mean, well, you can't go wrong with that.
Let's end it with the beginning.
Yeah. Well, so before we go, I have one more thing I just have to ask, because, okay, so for years now, every time you show up on TV, my dad will be like, sí, esa es Belkys, la que era la recepcionista at Sunny Travel. And I have to ask, was that you? Was that you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I was a travel agent in high school and college in Hialeah. Yes.
Yep.
Oh my God, I love that job. I had so much fun at that job. And this was pre-internet.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
this is like when people actually use travel agents. Now you just go to TripAdvisor or whatever. I made so much money. The airlines would pay you commission.
Yes.
And then you'd get like cruises and everything free. That job, I wasn't in high school, I was in college, because every month I'd go somewhere and I worked with another young girl at the agency, and she and I were best pals. We would go somewhere every single month. We went to a different country or a cruise or something. But yes, that was me.
Yeah,
oh my God,
my parents were part-time travel agents for Sunny Travel. So every time they were always, my dad's always like, yes, just be receptionist.
I was still in college. Yeah. Yes.
So ladies and gentlemen, icon legend Belkys Nerey may have booked your Carnival cruise.
In the morning, in the evening, and she got fun.
Yes. That is true. Oh my God, that is so funny. I had so much fun at that job For real. For real.
Full circle. Full circle.
For real.
It's like I can't let her leave without asking her about that. Like, just
Who are your parents?
Joaquin and Gisela Llano. I mean, that was
I'd be a liar.
lifetime ago.
I can't remember like yesterday. I get home for dinner sometimes, and my husband will be like, "So what's the weather going to be tomorrow?" I'll be like, "What did Phil say again? was tomorrow the day that it's going to be cold, or the day after?" I'm like, "Oh, I forgot. I have to purge. It's too much.
You guys probably have a hell of a blooper reel.
Too much in my brain. Yeah. What you don't see or hear. Yeah.
Because my cousin used to show me some blooper reels, and I was like, wow.
What you don't see or hear. Yeah. Listen, when you deal in what we deal with, you've got to have a sense of humor, and you've got to laugh about some things, because it's a lot. It's some heavy stuff that we talk about day in and day out. So we've got to laugh. And that is the best thing about Channel 7. It sounds so trite, but you can ask your cousin. We all love each other. Yeah. Craig and I, he says it best. It's like when you're anchoring with somebody, it's like an arranged marriage. Like you're going to meet this person, and you're going to meet this person, and you're going to sit next to each other, and you're going to have chemistry, and you're going to make TV magic. And it doesn't always happen naturally. And it does for us. And sometimes it doesn't. But like, I know he has my back. I have his back. When I worked with Lynn, it was the same thing. And for two women to have that kind of bond and not be, stabbing each other in the back constantly, and, females can be horrible.
It was great.
And we all get along so beautifully. The behind the scenes team as well, our producers, everybody is just, a lot of us have been there so long that we are one big, giant, dysfunctional news family that loves each other.
I feel that Deco Drive is probably like the little engine that could, because like Deco Drive is another show that has been here around for 20 some years.
More.
And here it is. Deco Drive is still decoing.
I've been at Channel 730, and it already existed just under another name, under 730.
Yeah, I remember 730. But I remember the logo was like a big 730. And they have a black background.
It's sort of a similar show, but they changed the name. But it's people like it, people like us, and we're very grateful.
Well, we're very grateful that you stopped by today, especially
Thank you,
again.
guys.
I know you're on your dinner break. Thank you so much for taking time.
I don't even know what time it is. It might be 10 minutes to 10, and I'm still here, and wherever this is.
If you saw Belkys was late on the news today, it's because she was here with us. It's our fault. We take full responsibility.
We apologize.
Sorry,
Craig. Sorry, Craig. Lynn, you had to fill in. Sorry. It was all our fault. But thank you so much for swinging by.
We're really honored to have you on.
Awesome. You're so sweet.
We love
Stop with the honors.
Seriously.
Cut it out.
You're wonderful. Icon legend.
Icon legend. All of it. Somewhere Cher's going like, my best interview was with Belkys Nerey. Yeah. Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
It's great. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. I'm going to eat my chicken wings.